Hi guys, congratulations on your RV. It's a very nice unit. So my name's David. I'll be doing your walkthrough with you. Sorry it's got to be on a video. It's just the precautions we're taking with the scenario we have going on with the coronavirus. Anyways, if you guys have any questions after I'm done the video, you can contact me directly at 250-792-0591. I'm going to try to touch everything. But like I said, you have any questions, just give me a call if I've missed anything. All right. Okay, well, let's begin. We'll start at the front and we'll work our way around the side, and then we'll work our way inside the unit. Okay, so here you have your fifth wheel hitch plate. You got your breakaway switch. What this is this pin pulls out like that, and that applies your brakes. So if the trailer ever became disconnected from the truck, that would pull. This other end is connected to the truck and it will engage the brakes. That being said, you want to make sure your battery is fully charged before you head out camping, because if this does become disconnected from the truck and the battery is dead, you're not going to have any braking power to stop the trailer. And then you have your 7-pin connection. So this plugs into the back of your 7-pin on the back of your truck, and it controls your clearance lights, your braking lights, your blinkers, your hazards, and this also for regular driving does the applying for the brakes. And it also charges the battery. That being said, when you're going down the road and you're going to a site and your battery's dead and you think it's going to charge your battery, you're only getting about 3 to 6 amps of charge through that line. It's not enough to fully charge a battery. So the recommendation is, plug the trailer in probably about 2 days before you go camping and just let her charge, depending if you guys are camping and living in this thing. Okay, work our way into the compartment here. Grab the keys. So all your keys and all your locks on the unit are this key, which is kind of handy. You don't have to fumble through different keys for different locks. So your door just swings up and you have a latch here. You just plop her in there and that keeps it up. I'll touch base on this too. This is your lights here for your working lights in the front of the unit. This here is a solar plug-in. Right there, it's already wired in. So all you have to do is you can buy solar panels that sit on the ground. You kind of angle them toward the sun and it plugs in directly, charges your batteries. And this here is a vent for your battery box. While you're charging and using a battery, it gives off hydrogen gas. So it goes up and out and exhausts out, because you don't want that filling up your compartment. Over here you got your hydraulics. So this is the hydraulics for your jacks and your slides. There's no controls in here. This is just the lines and the reservoir. So you have your low and your high. So when you check these, you want all the slides in and all the jacks down. So to check this properly, you want the front of the coach all the way down on the ground, and that'll give you a true reading. Right now it's low because the jacks are actually extended a little bit. I see you guys got a couple extras from the previous owner. You guys can chuck this out if there's anything in here you guys might like to use, and keep it. Okay, I think that's it in here, and the rest of it's just storage. Close that. You got these little locking tabs here. Make sure you just push the door in a bit, because you want to have a tight seal. Key, lock it up. And if with the jacks, if you guys are using them, it's important. They recommend you stroke them out once a month. So wherever you are, just if you guys got this thing blocked up or whatever, if you got it on the truck, you can retract all the jacks and put them back down. It's just to keep the legs lubricated, because if they sit out in the direct sun all the time and the moisture, they can create rust and cause problems in the future. You got slide toppers on all the slides, which is handy. You don't need to get up and brush leaves and needles off the top of the slides every time you guys want to bring them in and out. They come out by themselves, they go in by themselves. You don't need to bring them out or anything with a tool. Okay, and these door latches, you got your propane tanks. So with these, you just pop these open, take those off, and then you can go fill the propane up. They're just the security straps for it. Okay. So the quick connect propane couplers, so you just spin them off, spin them on. Propane on, propane off. And the tanks are 0317, so the tanks are good until 2017, and then they need to be sent away to be recertified or buy new tanks. Here you have your, I'll show you how this door opens. So this door doesn't have a lock, but the bigger door, when you shut that, this flange comes over this door and keeps it locked. And then again, your BP key to lock it and unlock it. And these are slam shut handles. So you just slam them and they lock. And you got magnets on these doors. Just push them up. Here is your control for your jacks. So you push both buttons at the same time to operate it. Okay, sorry about the pause in the video there, I just had to plug it in. Okay, so when you press those two buttons there, the up and down, that's on. And then you can either hit auto level, and in your instructions it'll show you how to do a hitch height, so it automatically remembers the hitch height. So when you're ready to get your truck hooked up to the unit, you can just push that button. It'll raise the front of the unit up or down to the exact height that you need to load the trailer onto the truck. And then retract all, that'll retract all the jacks. So when you got this thing on the truck and you're ready to go, you just hit retract all. It'll bring the front legs up, it'll bring the middle legs up, and it'll bring the back legs up. Or if you just want to do the front, you get it off the truck, you can just hit up, down. I don't know if you can hear the pump going. And when you guys get to your site, it's important with these slides, you want to have the unit level. Okay, so even just hit your auto level button on the unit, and it's got a computer in it with a sensor, and it'll bring all the jacks down, it'll level the unit and secure it and stabilize it. And then you'll have the slides coming out evenly. You got more storage in here. You have more stuff that the previous owner had left over for you. You've got work lights, little buttons in the center you push, and on the other side there's a couple other things I'll show you when we get over there. And then this is your control center for your water system and your gray tanks and your black tanks. So we'll just start with the fresh water. So here is the main control board. So this is everything you need to do with the water system. You're going to have one connection, your city water connection, but that is also going to be for your fresh tank, your onboard tank. So this is city water and fresh. It's just what you change the controls here on the control panel is going to decide what this does. So for instance, here you have dry camping, water from tank. Okay, so when you're dry camping, you're going to turn all these knobs to the way that it's showing, which it is right now. So right now we're set up to, we're at a site that doesn't offer water. We're using the onboard water tank. And power tank fill. So this is the onboard tank that we're going to be using from when there's no supply at a campsite. So before we leave our house, we're going to put the garden hose on here. We're going to switch all these, the blue sideways, black sideways, the red up, and the green sideways. Then we're going to turn our water on, and that's going to fill the tank inside the unit. And it has a little overflow hose, so when you're full, it'll actually bleed out between the wheels, and you'll know you're full. Then you can shut the water off, and then when you guys are ready to use the tank when you're at your campsite, you just do dry camping. We're going to turn all these down. We're going to follow this one, green up, And then same with city water. So when we have city water from an outside source, meaning we have pressure from an outside source coming into the trailer, we turn them all black to the side. So really we're just changing that valve from city water to onboard tank right here. And then to winterize the unit, same thing, hose into a bucket, siphon to fixtures. So what that means is you're gonna have what I usually do is I get an old garden hose that I have at home, and I cut it at about 2 feet, and then I can lay my winterizing jug right in here, and I can have the hose coming out into the jug, switch all these, turn your water pump on, and then that's going to draw all the antifreeze from the jug into the unit. And that being said, before you do that, make sure you take the water filter out, because the water filter will actually strain all the stuff out of the antifreeze that you need to protect the system. So make sure you remove that, and the tool is right here. You just slide it on, spin it off, and take the filter out, and then put it back on. And what I usually do when you take it off, I fill it with antifreeze and then put it on, so then you're not waiting for a while for it to fill up and then run through the system. And when you do the winterizing, it's going to bypass the hot water tank with the buttons pointed the way they're supposed to be. So that'll be bypassed. You don't need to go to the unit or anything. It's the side back of the hot water tank and change it. But when you do, you want to pop the drain plug on the unit when you winterize it. Okay, so that's the water distribution. And then you got an outside shower here. So it's just a little hose in one of the buckets you connect on. You have hot and cold outside. You got a little light here. You have gray, black, and you have 2 gray tanks, 1 black. So you got your pipe on connected, and you have it connected to the site sani dump. So you can leave the gray tanks open, but I always suggest leave the black tank closed and keep an eye on that inside on your monitor panel. There's a display panel with a level gauge on it, and it tells you how full. You don't want to leave the black tank open, because when you use the bathroom, solids will build up and the liquids will drain away, and then eventually all the solids will leave the system and plug the system essentially. So what I do, I always leave the black closed. I wait for it to be about half, 3/4 full, and then I'll dump it. And when you're finished camping, do your black tank first, and then close your gray tanks on the last day, and have the gray tanks fill up a bit, so that way when you have your sewer pipe, you don't want to just do your black tank, because now you have a stinky pipe to deal with. So I always do the black tank first, and then do your gray tanks, because when you do the gray tanks, it'll kind of wash the tube out for you, so you don't have a yucky mess to deal with. And then the little blue and the red lines here, those are your low point drains. So when you turn these, you have water coming out of them. So what this is the lowest point of all the water lines in the trailer. So when you drain, so basically when you have the trailer in storage and you have water sitting that's stagnant in water lines, it causes bacteria, which you don't want. So when you guys have this in storage, pop your hot water tank, let that water drain out, pop your low point drains, that'll drain all the water in the system. And when I do that, as well as I go inside and I turn all the faucets on in the unit, and then I come and crack these, and then I go back in and I flush the toilet just to make sure all the water is out of the system, because just because you pop these, there might be a bit of a vacuum in it that's keeping it from draining. So just make sure you go in and drain all the water out of the lines. And then over here we have our hot water tank. So the hot water tank, you don't have to do anything out here. All you have to do is come out and turn the hot water element on. This is for the electric side of the hot water tank. There is an element in here, so this does run off propane and 110. A lot of people go, oh, my hot water is not working on electric. We'll come out here and make sure that this switch is on. And just because this switch is on, it doesn't necessarily mean there's power here. A lot of the time there's a separate switch inside. Hot water tank lid, it just fits on these 2 little posts here. Put it in, closer, and that does get hot, so be careful if you got kids. And this is the furnace. You don't really need to do anything with this. That gets hot as well, so just make sure with kids that you keep them away. Let's latch these doors. Looks like it's gonna rain today. Okay, so you got marker lights. That's your hose hookup for your sewer. You've got your 50 amp plug. So the 50 amp, you just basically, you got a thread lock here. You can thread that on to keep it on. You just twist it and pull it. So a lot of sites, they may not have 50 amp service or 30 amp service. So what you want to do is, I think there's one in the unit. You want to get these adapters. So it goes from 50 amp, which is your plug here, down to a 30 amp. And then I've got it from a 30 to a 15, so it can plug into an extension cord and plug into our wall. The cord's not long enough to reach, so I had to reduce it down. You got your fridge. So your fridge cools on a draft, so it brings cold air in to cool down the heat, the cooling unit in the back of the fridge. It exhausts the hot out. I recommend to come in here once a year. Just make sure there's no bees. Dust is built up. If you get a lot of dust built up on the cooling unit, it will cause poor cooling of the fridge. So just make sure it's clean and everything's working fine. Up there you've got your range hood exhaust fan, so there is a latch there, so you'll need a little ladder to get up there, and you pop that out. It's just so when you're traveling, the little lid in there, I'll try to zoom in on it, there's a little lid in there, a flap, so it locks in closed. You just got to pull it to unlock it. Okay, so you got wheels. So on this one, we did replace the drums on the front axle. There was a rock that was stuck in it, and it gouged the drum. So we have, whatever you do on one side, you have to do to the other. So we did the bearings, we did the drum. It has brand new brakes on the front, and the back has been re-greased, and everything's been torqued. The wheels are good to go. You see, you guys are ready to rock and roll. Jack back here. You've got your bumpers, so the caps here, they do pull out, so you can put a sewer hose in there. It beats having a dirty sewer hose inside the compartment. License plate with a light. You've got an access ladder to get up on the roof. It's advisable to go up probably, once a month. This thing is a moving unit, and especially on the west coast with the hot and the cold, this thing will expand and contract quite a bit. So I always tell everyone, get up there once a month and inspect the seals, and also around all the trim, all around the edges. You want to inspect the trim, because if it does leak, it could cause bigger problems. Okay, you've got an exterior kitchen. Let's lock. Get the key. It's cold out today. There we go. So you got an outside TV, you got a fridge, cabinets, drawer. There's the remote for the TV. So with these doors, when you're closing them, it's always important to put your hand in the center and pull them down. A lot of people will grab them by the side, and these hydraulic arms have a bit of a force on them, and it'll actually crack the hinges. So always grab the door from the center. You've got outside speakers, scare lights, 2 of them. You've got a 15 amp service outside, that's GFCI protected, and the GFCI will be in the bathroom. You've got an out port for a water hose, so you can also have one on this side. Door catch, so when you open your door, you can leave the door open. I locked it. I locked it. There we go. So this has got magnetic latches on this one too. Your work light there. You got a cable connection out here, so if you guys want to bring the TV in here, you can do that as well. You've got a night switch. So the night switch, You just turn it and pull the key out, and that kills all the power to the battery, so there'll be no draw on it. When you guys have this thing in storage, you can turn that off. But that being said, make sure that is on when you have this unit plugged in, because when you're plugged in, the unit will charge. But if you have the night switch off, it won't allow that charge line to charge the battery. There's a propane tank on this side. This one's good until 2017. That's your dryer exhaust fan. You've got an awning outside, and I'll show you when we get inside how to operate that. Okay, we'll head her on inside. Okay, so we're gonna enter the unit. So I always keep the door handle over the door. That case it the door ever came open while I'm driving, it kind of keeps it closed. Lock the door. We got fold down steps. So you just grab the lever, pull, lay them down. It's important. These stairs are really nice. Make sure you give them a sweep off, because when you lift the stairs up into the unit, all the dirt that's on the stairs will then be inside the unit. I'll come in here. So up here you have your control panel. You have front awning, extend. There you go, she goes out. So it keeps the rain off you, which is nice. The other thing, when it gets windy out, bring them in. If it's a little bit windy, bring them in about halfway, all accordingly. It is like a sail. If it gets windy, it will rip the awning off the side. So you got your door. You also have a screen door, so you can leave that open separately. Just push this down to open it. Okay, so we're in the unit. We got all the slides in. So the slides are hydraulic, except the one in the bedroom. The bedroom is an electric slide. So all you do is you hit out. The slides are now moving. The easiest one will move first. You just hold the button until all of them go out, until you hear the pump starting to labor, and then shut the switch off. So that one's closed. Now this one will start to move slowly. The one on the back is closed, or open, sorry. Now this one will start moving. So when you guys are done camping, when you're bringing the slides in, the only thing I can tell you is come in here with a broom and sweep the floor. If there's any rocks that are between the slide and the floor, the slide will come down on it and gouge the linoleum. And there's the last one. I don't know if you could hear the pump there. It started to labor, meaning building up pressure, building a tight seal with the slides against the wall. Okay, you got lights. You got your porch light, which will be the one on top of the door outside. Interior lighting, awning light. The awning has this LED strip. DS floodlight. That will be the one on the forward side, the clear light. I'll just go outside and make sure those are on. There you go. Shut the door. You got light switch here for the top. All your lights on this slide and the roof, there's a couple of them down here. You turn that on. There's a couple hidden light switches around. You'll get used to it though once you figure them out. Okay, we'll just stick on the control panel for now, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so we'll start. This is when I was talking to you outside about your black and gray tanks. This is the levels. So battery full. That being said, the battery will always tell you full when you're plugged into shore power. To get a true reading of your battery, you got to go outside, unplug the unit, and then come in and hit battery to get a true reading. So your battery, fresh, black, gray, gray. You got your gas, your water heater. So that's for your gas selection. This light will come on. If this stays on, it's telling you there's a fault. See how it came on? So it didn't light, so it's going to try 2 more times, but I'm going to go bleed the propane because I had them off and on. So you got a push button here for the stove. There you go. So there was air in the system, so that's one thing you have to watch out for when you're changing your propane tanks off and on. So we come back here and see I bled the air out of the system. Now the hot water tank has ignition and it has flame and it's running as it should. So that's your gas, and then you have your electric heater. So remember I showed you the switch outside. This is also another switch in series with it. So even though that one's on, this one's off, it's not going to work. You want to have that one on as well. But this is nice. So now you can just control it inside. You don't need to go outside. As long as that switch is on outside, you can come in and just control it from here. You got your water pump. So this is when you guys are dry camping. You don't have an outside water source. The valves I had shown you earlier in the video. To go to dry camping, this is the switch you'll come in, and this creates water pump pressure for you on board. Fresh tank heater, colder conditions, you can turn this on to keep things from freezing. Gray tank heater, black tank heater. The gray tank heater is wired into both of them, so it has 2 tanks on board, so this will heat both of them at the same time. Turn those off. Porch, we'll leave the lights on. So this is a slide out in the bedroom. One thing I forgot to mention, when you do operate the slides, when you travel, things move. Make sure the chairs are buttoned down. Make sure cupboards are closed, especially coming in. Before you bring the slide out in the bedroom, make sure no doors are hanging out or smoke detector lids are hanging down, because when the slide goes out, usually by the time it hits, it's too late and it'll break something before you can actually respond to correct it. So you just with these Schwintek slides, you want to hold the button, and then even though it hits the wall and you hear it laboring, just hold it. So we can see the slide moving out. So when it hits the wall and it sounds like it stopped, just hold the button for another 3 seconds. And let go. Because what that slide does, both motors, it actually counts the revolutions it does until it goes in and out. It's getting a little too technical for you. Just hold the button and a little after it's stopped. Okay, so that's your monitor panel, and then here you have your converter. So this is your power, your power supply comes in and connects to here. That's basically the brain box to direct all the power. You've got your 110 breakers. So this one you have 2 mains because you have two air conditioners. So 150 amp service is for the air conditioner, and the other 50 amp is for the other air conditioner in the front. You have all your GFI, washer, dryer, So this is all your 110 side, so if anything isn't functioning correctly, you can come here and check this. You have all your 12 amp fuses. So this is cool though, because if one blows, it'll actually illuminate a little red light. I'll show you. There you go. So I pulled the fuse out, it's showing you that that one's blowing. Okay. And it even will show you through the little lens here, so it makes it pretty easy for you. Here you have a little monitor system. So my RV, you can control the leveling from inside. It'll show you your volts on the top right corner. So there is a manual inside. I highly recommend you just go through the manual and get yourself familiar with it on how it operates. So right here it's showing you 13.05 volts. You can retract, extend. So yeah, just go in and read the manual on that and get yourself familiar with it. So we'll go to the bathroom. So the bathroom, pretty straightforward. You got a vent up here with a fan. The vent's closed. This does have max air vents on it. Sorry, the camera wasn't on there. You got your fan. You got a lid. You got a sink. This is your drain stopper. Just put it in, or you can turn it sideways. Shower, always make sure it's locked in travel. Slides, make sure both ends are closed. Locked. You got your shower head, skylight, toilet. One thing I'll mention with the toilet, when you flush, make sure you slam it shut. If you give her a little granny close, a lot of the times the valve will continue to leak. So make sure you give her a nice firm shut. Got more storage, towel rack, sliding door with a button, and it's got a magnet. So you just want to keep that locked for travel. You don't have to lock it every time. It's just more so when you're going down the road. You got a jacket hanger on the back of the door. You got your bedroom. You got lights. You got an air conditioner. So the air conditioner, it can it'd be force fed through the room, or also it can be through the ceiling. So through the ceiling, you just close the slats like this, and now it's blocking the exhaust coming through here, and now it's going to exhaust through the fans throughout the unit inside the bedroom. It's a really nice unit. So you got more storage, sliding door in the front.